You want an SUV that doesn't just hit 200,000 miles and call it a career? You want one that keeps going. 300,000, 400,000 miles, and still starts on the first crank every single morning. Most people think that kind of mileage is a myth, something that only happens in YouTube comment sections. But it's not. There are exactly 4 SUVs where that kind of longevity isn't luck. It's engineering. And we pulled the data from the IC Cars 2025 and 2026 longest-lasting cars study, which analyzed over 174 million vehicles, along with Consumer Reports 2026 reliability data, to back every single pickup. One thing before we get into it. The IC Cars study tracks the proven probability of reaching 250,000 miles. That's the data threshold. But based on the engine architecture of every SUV on this list, 400,000 miles is the mechanical potential. That's the distinction. The data gets you to 250K. The engineering gets you the rest of the way. And if you're shopping used and you come across a newer 2025 or 2026 version of any SUV on this list, be careful. Most of these models have already moved to twin-turbo engines or hybrid powertrains. Those haven't been road tested for 15 years yet. If you want the 400,000-mile reliability, stick to the naturally aspirated engines listed here. That's the whole point. If you believe reliability matters more than luxury, hit the like button, because that's exactly what this ranking is about. SUVs that actually make sense long-term. Now let's go from number 4 to number 1. Number 4. Honda Pilot, 2009 to 2022. Most people look at the Honda Pilot, see a family hauler and move on. That's a mistake, because underneath that completely ordinary exterior is one of the most overachieving engines ever put inside a crossover SUV. The engine is the 3.5-liter J35 V6, naturally aspirated, no turbocharger, no intercooler, no extra layers of complexity waiting to fail at 180,000 miles. Just a clean, honest V6 that Honda has been refining for decades. According to the IC Cars 2025 longest-lasting cars study, the Pilot is nearly 3 times more likely than the average SUV to reach 250,000 miles. The industry average sits at 4.8%. The Pilot comes in at 13.1%. Members of the Honda High Mile Club have documented well over 400,000 miles on the original engine. And the common thread between all of them is one thing: the timing belt. Unlike the other 3 SUVs on this list, the Pilot uses a timing belt, not a chain. That belt needs to be changed on schedule, typically around 105,000 miles. Skip it and you're gambling with the entire engine. Stay on top of it and this thing just keeps running. Now here's something most reviewers never tell you. The Pilot uses a system called VCM, Variable Cylinder Management. Honda built it in to save fuel. What it actually does over time is cause uneven oil consumption and spark plug fouling, especially past 150,000 miles. The fix that serious Pilot owners swear by is called a VCM muzzler, an aftermarket bypass that keeps all 6 cylinders firing all the time. It's not expensive, and if you're planning to push this engine past 300,000 miles, it's not optional. For owners of the 2016 to 2022 models, there's a second critical item that almost nobody talks about. Those later Pilots came with a 9-speed automatic transmission, and that gearbox is a ticking clock if the fluid isn't changed every 30,000 miles. The engine on these cars can genuinely outlast everything around it, but if that transmission fluid gets neglected, the gearbox will wave the white flag long before the engine even thinks about it. Change the fluid on schedule, every time, no exceptions. For viewers who want the reliability but need something easy on the knees, the Pilot is your best bet on this entire list. It's a crossover, so the step-in height is low and natural. No climbing, no dropping down. It rides lower, it's easier to get in and out of, and it doesn't have the stiff, bouncy feel of a body-on-frame truck. For anyone who wants extreme mileage without giving up daily comfort, the Pilot is the hidden weapon on this list. Number 3. Lexus GX 460, 2010 to 2023. There is a version of the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado that never made it to North America. It's legendary in the Middle East, Australia, and across Asia for going places other SUVs never come back from. The Lexus GX 460 is essentially that vehicle, dressed in a quiet cabin, premium leather, and a price tag that makes it look like a luxury purchase. But underneath, it's pure industrial-grade machinery. The engine is the 4.6-liter 1UR-FE V8. And the reason this engine is so reliable comes down to something almost counterintuitive. Toyota deliberately detuned it. They built an engine capable of far more power and then held it back. So during normal driving, this V8 is barely working. The pistons, the rod bearings, the crankshaft, all operating well below their mechanical limits. That's exactly how you get 400,000 miles out of an engine. Not by pushing it to the edge, but by never letting it get close. There's also no timing belt to worry about. The 1URFE uses a heavy-duty timing chain, no replacement intervals, no catastrophic failure if you miss a service. It just runs. According to IC Cars data, the GX460 has an 18.3% chance of hitting the 250,000-mile threshold, more than 4 times the industry average, and comfortably ahead of every single European luxury competitor on the market. Now, 2 things every GX buyer needs to know before handing over the money. Around 150,000 miles, a component called the coolant valley plate can start to seep. It sits between the engine banks and seals the coolant passages. Caught early, it's a standard repair. Ignored, it ends the engine. A pre-purchase inspection from a Toyota or Lexus specialist that specifically checks this one component can save you from a very expensive mistake. The second thing, and this applies to the Sequoia as well, is the secondary air injection pump. Around 150,000 miles, moisture can get into these pumps and throw the entire vehicle into what's called limp mode, where the car severely limits its own power to protect itself. A dealer fix runs over $2,000, but bypass kits are available for a few $100s, and for high-mileage GX owners, installing one proactively is exactly the kind of move that separates a 200,000-mile car from a 400,000-mile one. The GX460 also holds its value better than almost anything else in its class. So not only do you get a vehicle that refuses to die, you get one that retains its worth while doing it. Number 2. Toyota 4Runner, 2010 to 2024. There is no SUV in this entire ranking that sends a clearer message the moment you sit inside it. The 4Runner feels like it was engineered to outlive you, and based on the data, that feeling is completely justified. The engine is the 4.0-liter 1GR FE V6. Toyota used this engine for nearly 15 straight years in the 4Runner, not because they couldn't afford to update it, because it was so reliable there was simply no reason to. While every other manufacturer was rushing to downsize to turbocharged 4 cylinders, Toyota kept the same naturally aspirated V6 because it knew what it had. Mechanics who have worked on these engines for decades describe them the same way every time: simple, overbuilt, and nearly impossible to kill with proper maintenance. Now, you may have heard that Toyota's famous million-mile Tacoma, Mike Neal's 2008 truck that hit 1.6 million miles, is proof of this engine's potential. Here's the honest version of that story. Mike's truck actually ran the 2.7-liter 4-cylinder, not the V6. But the reason both engines belong in the same conversation is that they were built with exactly the same over-engineered philosophy. While the 4-cylinder gets the headlines for that record, the 4.0-liter V6 is widely considered Toyota's most reliable V6 ever built, with countless documented examples breezing past 400,000 miles. The numbers back it up completely. According to the IC Cars 2025 study, the 4Runner has a 32.9% chance of surpassing 250,000 miles, more than 7 times the industry average, and the second highest probability of any vehicle in the entire study. One thing that must be said for anyone buying a used 4Runner in the Salt Belt states, the Northeast and Midwest, where roads get heavily salted in winter, the engine will go 400,000 miles. The frame might not. Toyota issued a frame rust buyback program for earlier models because the problem was real. Before you even open the hood, get under it. Check the frame rails. A clean example from the South or the Southwest is a different vehicle entirely. Keep in mind, the 4Runner sits high, it's a body-on-frame truck, and getting in and out requires a real step up. For anyone with hip or knee concerns, that's worth factoring in before falling in love with the reliability numbers. Number 1. Toyota Sequoia, 2008 to 2022. Everything else on this list is impressive. The Sequoia is in a completely different category. The engine is the 5.7-liter 3URFE V8. Toyota originally developed this engine for the Tundra pickup, a truck designed for heavy commercial towing and long-haul work. When they dropped it into the Sequoia, a full-size family SUV that most owners use for school runs and highway trips, the result was an engine that almost never has to work hard. It's the mechanical equivalent of hiring a powerlifter to carry your groceries. The components inside are built to absorb enormous stress, and in the Sequoia, they almost never experience it. According to IC Cars, the Sequoia holds the #1 spot as the longest-lasting vehicle on the road. Not just the longest-lasting SUV, not just the longest-lasting Toyota, the longest-lasting vehicle in the entire 174 million vehicle study, with a 39.1% chance of reaching 250,000 miles or more. And because the 3URFE was so heavily over-engineered for towing duty, owners who maintain it correctly regularly document well past 400,000 miles on the original engine. The same secondary air injection pump warning from the GX460 applies here too. Around 150,000 miles, moisture can trigger limp mode. A proactive bypass kit costing a few $100s eliminates a potential $2,000 plus dealer repair before it ever becomes a problem. On a vehicle you're planning to drive for 400,000 miles, that's one of the smartest investments you can make. Unlike the 4Runner, the Sequoia comes with independent rear suspension. The ride is noticeably smoother, road noise is better absorbed, and after 2 hours on the highway, your back will know the difference. For anyone wanting the long-haul reliability of a body-on-frame platform without the punishing ride quality, the Sequoia threads that needle better than anything else on this list. For anyone who wants to buy one last car, one vehicle they will never have to replace, this is the answer, and no engine on this list reaches 400,000 miles on luck alone. The owners who get there do 3 things without fail. Oil changes at 5,000 miles, not the 10,000-mile interval some manuals suggest. Transmission fluid drain and fill, never a flush, which can dislodge debris and cause more damage than it prevents. And a coolant refresh on schedule, because degraded coolant is one of the most common causes of gasket failure at high mileage. 3 simple habits. That's the real difference between an engine that taps out at 180,000 and one that's still pulling strong past 400,000. That's everything for today. If this breakdown saved you from a bad purchase or pointed you toward the right one, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Drop a comment below with the highest mileage you've ever personally put on a single vehicle. We read every single one. See you in the next one.